Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. We are back with a very fun and cool and interesting deck profile. I'm joined by Koen Verhoeven.
Yes, thank you for the introduction.
Yeah, you've been on the channel before with your Madolche deck
Yes,
after winning a
I do.
regional with it.
I do like to play dumb decks, so
Yeah,
that's
well, you're back with Fluffal. You won the OTS championship in Yugiwang. So congratulations, and you really wanted to
thank
show
you.
your deck profile.
Yes, I'd like to continue the dumb deck trend,
All
if
right,
that's
so
okay.
every time we see your face on the channel, it's going to be
It's
something
going to be
whack.
something spicy, yeah,
All right, nice.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Anything you want to say
All right.
before we go in?
Yes, I do actually. There's wait, no, I won't because I'll say it after the video,
That's fine.
and
All
you'll
right.
see why. All right. Let's start. Today we're talking about the Fluffal dog and friends. So, this is a Fluffal deck profile, and to be honest, let's start with the dog because dog is mainly just Stratos. He searches any Fluffal, and that's about it. He's a level 4, which can be relevant as well. This is not something you usually want to start with, but if you have to normal summon him, it's fine. You can play either 1, 2, or 3. That's kind of debatable. So I went with 2 because that's the safe number, right?
Yeah.
Next up, 2 bear. You could also choose to play 3, but you don't want to see multiples of this generally. So 2 is fine. And what the bear does, of course, is search for, or actually set the toy vendor, which is by far the most important card in the deck. If you're not familiar with toy vendor, it searches any Fluffle when it goes to grave. So if you have any way to get this to the grave, you can search any Fluffle, and it's not once per turn. And it has a second effect in which you discard a random card. You take a look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a Fluffle, you can summon any monster from hand, which can also be relevant sometimes. It takes a while to get used to be honest, this card, but it's just so broken. Oh my god.
That's really good.
Next up, we have the 2 penguin, and I'm already seeing the pitchforks coming up, trying to hunt me, but usually people play 3 penguin. I wanted to keep this list as close to 40 as possible, so I decided to cut 1 penguin, and we also play this, which just searches the penguin because it searches any penguin, and for some reason, I'm just kind of repeating Skyhawk, the Fluffle player at this point, but it's thank you for penguins, and they just forgot to exclude Fluffle Penguin, I guess.
Yeah, such a weird card. Every time a
Which is
Fluffle
very
player
nice.
plays this, which is just very reasonable because it just like searches deck things, etc. It's like, what are you playing with? Oh, it's Fluffle deck. Okay.
Exactly. There's another nice thing about this card, and I will get into that later.
Ooh,
Before that, as you can see, I'm not just doing like the Fluffles and then the spells, etc. I'm just going by like
relevancy.
functionality,
Yeah.
relevance. Yeah. This is one of the best cards in the deck, to be honest, one of the best spells. It gets your Toy Fender into grave or your Frightful Repair if you want to, which searches a Fluffle. And it sets up a Toy Fender in grave, which is important. I would never play any less than 3 of this, and I think you should never play any less than 3 of this. Another really important card is Fluffal Dolphin. You want to see this once, and you want to see wings once. You want to dump wings actually with the Fluffal Dolphin, and that's it. So it's very important for like going plus 25, and after that, you don't really need it anymore, and you don't really want to open it. So you play 1 of each. The most important, well, I guess combo to start with is Penguin into Dolphin, and Penguin can summon any Fluffle from hand. They're both waters. You'll see in the extra deck why that's important. All right, next ones. The extender, you can summon it when there's a Fluffle on field. It bounces a Fluffle for cost to summon an Edge Imp from grave or hand, which you can summon the chain width or the side, depending on what you want. But you don't really want to open it. You want to search it later in your combo. But when you do, it just gets you a +1 for free, basically. This is also a pretty important card for going first, because it can recycle any of your Fluffals on summon, and you're summoning quite a lot. This is also one of the cards you don't really want to open, but if you get to it later in the combo, it can, for example, get back your Edgeim site, so not the artifact site, but the Edgeim site, if you had to fuse with it, for example, or just get any resource for the next turn, which is fine as well. It's generally a good card. You probably side it out going second. For a bit, a lot of players used to play Eldritch as well in the deck, and I'm going to show you 3 cards now, and they're not the cards that they're supposed to be, because I borrowed them from someone at the actual tournament, and they are supposed to be Illusion of Chaos and Magician's Souls. As you can guess,
Yeah, whoa.
probably, the Souls effect to special summon itself is nice. This is the one that just searches the souls, and when you get the souls on field, it can obviously send 1 or 2 spells or traps to draw. And what better spell to send than Toy Vendor? So basically, you go for souls. Let's say you open Baron Souls or Baron Illusion. You go for the souls. You set the Toy Vendor. If you're lucky enough to also have the Penguin Garden, you can now souls for 2, draw 2, and get the Toy Vendor search. Or if you just open Baron Toy Vendor or 2 Toy Vendor, you send 2 Toy Vendor, draw 2, and then get 2 searches. So it's kind of, to be honest, if you resolve this, you're going +4, and like you're probably winning the game.
Yeah, it sounds actually insane. Like, you have so
It
many
is.
extra cards, like indeed the penguin card and the toy vendor. It's nuts.
It is. Yeah, I can tell you, it really is nuts. So try out Fluffals if you like what you're seeing. Edgeim Chain is one of the first Edgeimps. The deck is kind of reliant on getting a Fluffal and an Edgeimp in hand before it can really do any plays, any like important plays, and extend really far. This is the most important one, so you play it at 3, and it's searchable with Fright for Patchwork. We all know Fright for Patchwork. It searches an Edgeimp and your polymerization. If you open this and it doesn't get ashed, you're probably winning, to be honest. It can not only search the chain, it can also search the site, or it can search sabers. The site is basically your hand trap in your opponent's main phase to fuse with a monster. I'll explain more when we get to the fusions. This is kind of mandatory to play as well, because a lot of the Fluffal cards say you can search a Fluffal, or you can search literally Edgeimp Sabers, so the actual card, not one of the other ones, but specifically Edgeimp Sabers. That's why you play it. The second effect comes up to Reborn from Grave. If you need to stack something on top of your deck, which you can then wait just a sec, which you can then Toy Vendor out. So, of course, if you know what the top card of your deck is going to be, you just stack a Fluffal, you get the free special summon.
It took me 5 years to understand now why Edgeimp Sabers returns a card to the top of the deck. I never understood what the reasoning was, but it's for toy vendor.
This is 100% the reason.
I've
The
seen the
reason,
lights.
yeah. The reason you play 2 of the Illusion of Chaos as well instead of just 1 is because when you draw the Illusion of Chaos, you don't necessarily have to stack the Chaos itself. Since you have to stack something, you can also stack a Fluffal. So if you have Toy Vendor, it basically does the same thing as Edgeimp Sabers. And you can still resolve your souls that you searched, because there's a second one of these in the deck. That's why you play 2. You could also play Preparation of Rites, but to be honest, that's kind of copium. That's when you really, really want the focus to be on this, but I think just playing the Souls and the 2 Illusion of Chaos is fine. Alright, so that's it for the edge imps, basically. Next cards are these. They're Frightful Fusion, because Frightful Fusion is basically Miracle Fusion for your Frightful monsters. So it's very good going second, but it can also help you extend going first if you have to. The Frightful Repair is kind of an odd card. You mostly want to send it off your will to be able to banish it from grave and summon the Fluffal from hand. So it's basically Penguin effect. In some cases, you want to search it. If you have had the opportunity to also to already fuse, and your fusion is now in grave, you can return the fusion to reborn one of your Fluffals or edge imps, I think. Yes, or edge imps. So it's pretty versatile, but you can only use one of the effects per turn. Next up, the reason I really wanted to go to 40 cards is because I really, really want to draw some protection for the combo. In this format, if you get sidelocks, it's basically just over, also for Fluffals. So you need the cold, and in my opinion, you need the gamma. This also kind of plays around droll, I guess. It did win me a game when someone drolled me. But the most important thing is that your patchwork resolves and maybe your wings draws. So if you can like try the combo without having any monsters on field, which this deck is pretty good at, then Gamma just, oh, it's just so good. Next up, this may be controversial, but Triple Tactics Talent, in my opinion, a pretty good card. It can be any other card, to be honest. It could be like the Preparation of Rites. It could be a third Penguin. It could be an extra edge site if you want to. But I found like with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 basically protection cards, you should always draw one of them. And that's enough. And the last card in the deck, very interactive, of course. But as long as it's not banned, I guess we have to play it. It does win you games that you should not win.
Yeah, definitely. All right,
And
so
that's
for 40
that's
cards.
it for the main deck.
All right.
It kind of all comes together in the extra deck. Of course, this is a very extra deck heavy reliant deck. So let's start with the links. The first one is Cross Sheep. Might as well have been a Fluffal card.
Yeah.
The art is kind of in sync with Fluffals as well. So why not have it be Fluffal Cross Sheep? Anyway, we all know what the fusion effect is, I think. So if you can get to the cross sheep with a whale under it, for example, any special summon will just summon your penguin back, which is not once per turn, which can then summon another Fluffal from your hand and extend from there. So a very important card. The artifact Dagda for setting up site. Not much to tell you about that one. Masquerena is kind of a, I guess, a personal choice. You don't really have to play this, but it allows you to dodge stuff when you go into Appaloosa. So, for example, when you try to summon the whale on your opponent's turn and you have Masquerena up, they try to chalice the whale, you can dodge the chalice with Masquerena. Or anything else, like basically. And it's not really different. It's not really different from ending on just the Appaloosa at the end of your turn. Because if you get dropleted or you get Dark Rulered, they're both like they just both die basically. So
Yeah.
there's not a real difference. Since the penguin and dolphin, I'll just get them real quick. Penguin and dolphin are both level 4 waters. You know what that means. It means you can go into Toad. Like I think the best hands you can draw going first are when you can get Vendor Engrave somehow. For example, through Souls. There's a lot of other ways as well. One of them which I promised you to talk about as well, is this card, the Royal Penguin's Garden, because the second effect can lower this card's level, or like any penguin in your hand, by 1, and then you just discard 1 card, which can be Toy Vendor. So a lot of ways to set up your plays. The Dolphin is very important because it resets your Toy Vendor and dumps Wings to grave. So if you did not resolve Bear in the turn, you can use these two to make Bahamut Shark and detach 1, depending on like what's in your grave already. You just either detach the Dolphin or the Penguin. Then gets you the Toad. Now the rest of your combo is protected, and you have 2 Fluffals in grave, and you have a Toy Vendor on field. Go off, I guess.
Yeah. Nice.
Abyss Dweller is just Abyss Dweller. It's a little better in this deck because it boosts your Toad, and you have water materials generally, so they all get like 500 attack more, which can be relevant. Next one is Tornado Dragon. I didn't play this at first, but I saw a lot of Flanderies just rolling around, and I kind of don't want to play DPE anymore. So this is just a second way to trigger Sight, and it's just good against back row decks. That's basically it. This can be Dugaris or Underworld Goddess. I chose to play Dugaris for this tournament, for the past tournaments, because sometimes you can just boost your will to ungodly amounts of attack. And you just swing over something and win the game. That's basically what it does. It also helps you with really bricky hands where you can basically only do Penguin, summon, Dog. Then Dog gets something, but you can't really extend. You can go into Dugaris as a kind of last resort play. Draw 2, discard 1, hope you draw into Toy Vendor, and then pop off anyway. So it's kind of multi-purpose. Next one, now we're getting into the fusion cards. Will. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Will. This card is insane. Its first effect is when it's summoned, it can pop a card on your own field and a card on your opponent's field. There's a lot of good targets to pop in your deck. It's the Toy Vendor, it's the Scythe. You can pop itself some of the time. Doesn't really matter. You can also protect it with the Edgem Sight if you want to. But the second effect is just kind of what makes the deck work, because now you can send any Frightful card from your extra deck or your deck to the graveyard, which is generally going to be this one. The Frightful Repair. And as you've just sent the Frightful Repair, you can now extend your combos, since you can banish it from grave and summon any Fluffal from hand. And use Penguin effect 5 times in a turn. So that, yeah, this card is just unbelievable. Next up is the Kraken. To be honest, I don't think you have to play the Kraken, but it's still good. It's still a nice option to be able to target something, send it to grave, or just attack twice per game. You can also boost up the Kraken with the Cruel Will effect. Now it's at 33. Just dishing out a lot of damage, then attacking with Will for the OTK. Pride for Tiger is the next one. This is the one that requires Edgem Sabers. And because the requirement's so tight, so you have to use like the sabers. The payoff can be bigger as well, because this card basically allows you to pop any number of cards on your opponent's side of the field up to the fusion materials used, the amount of fusion materials used for this card's summon. It can be chain blocked against back row decks, which is nice because you have a lot of cards that trigger when fusion summoned with as well. So mostly the whale's better, but in some cases where you just feel like you need to pop the whole board and they have a lot of solemn judgment or strikes in the back, Tiger is really good. Does lose the skill drain.
Yeah.
You still play the one Sabertooth. Any Fluffal player will know that summoning the Kraken, then summoning the Sabertooth to revive the Kraken is exactly 8,000 damage. So, yeah, no reason not to play it. It can also reborn the Whale, which is also not once per turn. So yeah, good luck with that. Last one is the new fusion Guardian Chimera,
Okay.
which, in my opinion, just helps his deck out a lot more going second. You just need any 3 monsters to fuse with, which means it can also use your Scythe, it can also use your Driver, it can use your Dead Gammas, it can use your Illusion of Chaos if you happen to draw the second one.
Okay, that's really cool.
And it just, like, most of the time it pops one and draws 2. And the deck just likes to draw, obviously. So you're always drawing into extenders. So you're not really like, you're not negging. That's
Yeah.
the most important thing. And I don't know if you're familiar with the second effect of this card. The second effect is that it cannot be targeted when polymerization is in your graveyard. This deck just happens to run poly, so that's nice.
Nice. That's a cool addition to the deck. Yeah.
Yeah, I've tried it out a lot lately, and I've been really satisfied with it. So keeping it in. Side deck is like, of course, mostly dependent on where you're playing against which kind of players. I just like to keep it general though. There's one Lancia for anything that side does not hit. It's just a one Lancia for when Lancia is good against a deck you're playing against. You want to draw it going second, but mostly you side it going first instead of the side against Flunder, for example. Cosmic. Normally you would play Twin Twister in Fluffal because it can discard like Edging Chain. It can discard your Toy Vendor, but this format, like, I really don't want to get sidelocked, man. Like,
Yeah. You don't want to hit
let's
that
just
side. Yeah.
exactly let's just go for Cosmic. That's safer. I think it's pretty good, to be honest. Next up is Droplet. Well, not too much to say about Droplet. It's just a card everyone wants to see going second, I think. There's no real discussion about that. Get your pitchforks again, because the third spell I'm playing in the side is Mystic Mine. I've never really seen anyone play this in the side deck for Fluffle, but to be honest, it just allows you to play uninterrupted going second if it doesn't get negated, and you can get rid of it with your own will as well. So I kind of tested it out. Seems pretty fine, and like if you just can bait out negations and stuff, or you open it with Droplet, it's still Mystic Mine. I don't know.
No,
I think
I love playing mine in these decks where nobody has like back row removal against you. It's like, oh, okay, I guess I just
yeah,
lose now.
right.
Yeah.
And like I can see the number one complaint being like, oh, but Brave has like the spell and it can out it, the equip spell, which is true, but a lot of the time, I don't know why. I don't know if it's I don't know Brave well enough to be honest, but like a lot of the time they just link away the token after a while, and the thing ends up in grave, and they really don't have a way to get it back. So correct me if I'm wrong, but
No, yeah, it's against certain decks it will definitely almost insta win, but I think like you said, most of the time it just like baits out the one negate, or maybe they don't even negate it at all because it doesn't really matter, and then just like proceed to destroy your entire opponent's board, and then
exactly,
Fright for Will your Mystic Mine away. I think that's already enough payoff and already enough of a good strategy.
I think so as well. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for explaining because I'm just sometimes clueless about Brave. Um, Next up, I was talking about Eldritch earlier. He's still on the side. He's
Oh,
still
okay.
chilling. You basically side out the Illusion of Chaos stuff going second, and I think I usually cut a bear and a dog as well because they're just less important going second. In my opinion, going second, you just want to go all out and fuse as much as possible. Just break the board that way, which is why I also play the Fluffal Owl who searches Poly, the Fluffal Cat we can chain block, and another Poly because you just want to hard open it. So
Nice.
the Eldritch kind of helps with that as well, because while like the Magician Souls engine is really good for drawing stuff, drawing into stuff. This can also count as spot removal, obviously. And when you do get sidelocked, it's still a 3500 body. So that's nice, I guess. Pretty decent against Schwartzel, I think.
Yeah, and
Unless,
also works really well with the Guardian Chimera. You can just fuse it away if you don't need to send anything.
exactly, yes, yeah. And you don't really want to fuse with the Magician Soul stuff, basically, most of the time. So yeah, Eldritch going second, I've been really liking it. As I already explained, like the other Fluffals, it's kind of like a personal choice, but you really just want to like fuse a bunch of times, clear the board that way. So I like Cat, I like Owl.
Yeah, makes
They're
sense.
really they're my friends as well. That's basically it for the deck.
All right. I've never been this convinced to play Fluffle, but this looks fun.
It's really fun, yeah. Let me. I was at the beginning of the video. I was saying like, I'll save my shoutouts for later.
Yeah, go ahead.
The shoutouts I do want to give are shoutouts to the Necrofusion Discord, because the actual Fluffle Discord is kind of dead because everyone moved to the Necrofusion Discord, which is Skyhawk's Discord basically.
Okay.
And it's called Necrofusion Enthusiast. Look it up if you need to. There's a lot of players like I've personally drawn inspiration from building this deck. There's a lot of testing going on. Everyone's really inviting. So yeah, basically everyone who plays Fluffles really likes the deck, which I think counts for something, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And they're really helpful. So I hope I can get people to play this deck because it's really fun. It's actually really fun. You never know where you're going.
Yeah, I can see that happening. Yeah, GiantSkyhawk is a friend of the channel, so I'll definitely put his link in the description down below as well. He's the Fluffle master,
For
has
sure,
a lot
man.
of very in-depth videos about Fluffle, so if you are interested after this deck profile, then definitely go check him out. Link will be in the description down below.
Yes, I second that. Like, do it.
Right.
All right.
Cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Very in-depth, but very welcoming. This was very nice to see this. I mean, I've seen this deck ever since it was released, and I've seen many different iterations, and it's insane that even without that much support recently, the deck still has changed so much. Like the new Fluffle with the Chimera, with the Soul stuff. It's really cool to see that this deck like it gets support, even though you didn't really expect it that it got support.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I really like the fact that it works so well with like random stuff like Eldritch and like the Magician Soul stuff. You can just put it in, try it out. There's no real consensus on like what's the best build, so it's very experimental all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's for everyone who just wants to play a deck that has like a kind of a I wouldn't say luck factor to it, but like very unexpected draw factor, I guess I could call it. Just pick it up, try it out. It takes some time getting used to, but after you get it, after a certain point, you just get it. You just understand how it works, and then it just from there is it's so fun.
Exactly. All right, if that's not a good reason to pick up a deck, I don't know what is. Thank you for the deck profile, and yeah, I'm sure we'll see more of you in the future. Bye,
For
guys.
sure. Thanks for having me.